Hi dear students, today we are going to see the second part of the first unit in design of machine element, that is design against the dynamic loading. As of now we finished first part of the unit 1, that is design against the static loading. Under that we covered major 4 topics, okay, that is design against the simple static stress, then principal stress, then eccentric loading. From these 3 topics we found out maximum stresses. Based on the maximum stresses, we find the factor of safety by using static theories of failure. In a static theories of failure, we learned 5 major theories, that is maximum principal stress theory, then maximum principal strain theory, then maximum shear stress theory, then maximum strain energy theory, then maximum distortion energy theory. Okay, so now the first part of the unit 1 is over. Now we are enter into the second part of the first unit, that is design against the dynamic loading. Before start this, we should know what is dynamic loading. Okay, the dynamic load is one. The dynamic load is one that changes its magnitude or in direction or both with respect to time is known as dynamic load. I will repeat again. The dynamic load is one. Okay, that changes in its magnitude or direction or both with respect to time is known as dynamic load. Okay, this is explained with one simple example. Okay, so let me take one shaft. That shaft is mounted by using 2 bearing. Okay, this is my shaft. Okay, our topic is design against dynamic load. Okay, then definition is that dynamic load is one that changes in its magnitude and direction with respective time is known as dynamic load. This is explained with one simple example. Let me take one shaft. Here, this shaft is mounted on the 2 bearing. Okay, then this shaft is subjected to one transverse load. See here, the line of action of this force is perpendicular to axis of the shaft. It means that this load is transverse load. Okay, so under the action of this transverse load, the top portion of the shaft subjected to only compressive stress. Okay, see here, this top portion of the shaft subjected to only compressive force. There is no tensile stress induced here under the action of this transverse load. Similarly, this bottom portion of the shaft subjected to only tensile stress. There is no compressive stress under the action of this transverse load. It means that this load does not change with respect to direction. There is no change in direction. Simply we can say it as there is no change in direction with respect to top portion and the bottom portion of the shaft. Okay, the top portion always carries compressive stress. Okay, then the bottom portion of the shaft always carries tensile stress. Okay, so from this we conclude that there is no change in direction. That is the one important point. Then come to second point. Okay, under the action of this transverse load, okay, this transverse load will give certain amount of stresses. Okay, this transverse load will give certain amount of stresses. That stress value, okay, that stress value in megapascal does not change with respect to time. Okay, throughout its life, okay, throughout the life of the shaft, throughout the life of the shaft, this transverse load exists same amount of stresses. Okay, so it means that there is no change in magnitude. Okay, so from this we conclude that in static loading there is no change in magnitude and there is no change in direction. Okay, now this value will mark on the graph. Okay, so before that we define the static loading. In static loading, static load is one that does not changes in its magnitude and direction. This is known as magnitude and direction with respective time is known as static loading. Okay, now these stresses, the stress at point A, stress at point B, mark on the graph. So in the x-axis, we are going to take time. Then in the positive y-axis, we will take tensile stress sigma t. In the negative y-axis, we will take compressive stress. In point B, always Q. Okay, in point B, we have only tensile stress under the action of this transverse load. Okay, this magnitude does not change with respect to time. Okay, this magnitude does not change with respect to time. So this is the value. This is the induced stresses with respect to point B under the action of transverse load. Okay, so sigma t is constant. Similarly, in point A, we have only compressive stress under the action of transverse load. Here there is no tensile stress. Okay, similarly, this value does not change with respect to time. Okay, the magnitude of the compressive stress. Okay, magnitude of the compressive stress does not change with respect to time. Here, the compressive stress is a little more than the tensile stress. Sigma c suffix c is constant. Okay, so this is the graph obtained from the static loading. Okay, so similarly we will construct the graph for dynamic loading. Okay, let me see dynamic loading. This dynamic loading explained with one simple example. Okay, let me take one shaft. This shaft is mounted on the two bearing and this shaft is subjected to one transverse load. Then this shaft is coupled with one motor. Okay, this shaft is coupled with one motor. In the previous case, in static loading, the shaft is static one. The shaft does not revolve about its own axis. But in this case, this shaft tries to rotate about its own axis with help of this motor. Okay, this is the motor. This motor is used to rotate the shaft. Okay, so according to this condition, okay, at this instant, this point A is subjected to compressive stress. Okay, after the half revolution of the shaft, this point A goes down. That instant, this point A carries tensile stress. Okay, similarly, okay, at this instant, the point B carries tensile stress. After the half rotation of the shaft, this point B goes up. Okay, that instant, this point B subjected to compressive stress. Okay, based on this, we will draw one graph. Okay, in x-axis, we will take time. Okay, in x-axis, we will take time. In positive y-axis, we will take tensile stress. In negative y-axis, we will take compressive stress, sigma suffix c. Okay, here I will focus only point B. Okay, as per the position, this point B subjected to tensile stress. It means that half of the revolution. Okay, half of the revolution, this point B subjected to tensile stress. So this value changes from 0 to maximum in half of the revolution. Okay, this is 0, this is pi in half revolution. Okay, 180 degree. Okay, 180 degree. This point B subjected to tensile stress. Then this shaft is revolved with help of the motor. So under this action, this point B will goes to top. Okay, the remaining half revolution. In the remaining half revolution, this point B goes up. That instant, this point B will carry compressive stress. Okay, the remaining half revolution. The remaining half revolution. The point B will carry compressive stress. This is 2 pi. Okay, or taken in time. Okay, this 2 pi. Okay, similarly, okay, another half revolution. Again, this point P, okay, point B come down. That instant, it carries tensile stress. So like that, the graph is going. Okay, so here, this is the sigma max, maximum tensile stress. This is the maximum compressive stress. Okay, here this value sigma max in compressive, sigma max in tensile. Okay, this stress value in megapascal does not change with respect to time. It means that there is no change in magnitude. But in half of the revolution, the point B carries compressive stress. Remaining half of the revolution, the point B carries tensile stress. It means that change in direction. In half revolution, the stress is positive. In half revolution, the stress is negative, okay, compressive. But the sigma in megapascal, okay, here because of value, assume as 180 megapascal. In both the case, the point B will carry 180 megapascal. It means that there is no change in magnitude, but here change only in direction. So this kind of load is known as completely reversed load. Okay, this is the one type of loading, dynamic loading. Okay, in the next video we will see different types of dynamic loading. Okay, in dynamic loading we have 5 types of dynamic loading. Okay, let me discuss one by one in the next video. But here the failure condition. Okay, a failure condition in static loading. Here failure condition in static loading. When the static load will give certain amount of stresses. Okay, in static loading. In static loading, this transverse load gives certain amount of stresses when the induced stress. Okay, induced stress reaches yield stress of the material in case of ductile material, or this induced stress reaches ultimate stress of the material in case of brittle material. Under this condition only failure occurs. Okay, under this condition only the failure occurs in static loading. Okay, in static loading, this is the failure criteria. But in case of dynamic loading, the failures occurs. Okay, failures occurs lesser than this yield stress or ultimate stress. Okay, here the induced stress, the failures occurs lesser than the yield stress or ultimate stress of the material. It means that failure occurs due to fatigue loading. Okay, so in dynamic loading, the fatigue failure will come into the picture. Okay, at that time we will use 3 failure theory, that is Boltzmann equation, then Soderberg equation and Gruber equation. Okay, these 3 theories of failure used in dynamic loading to estimate the certain parameters or to estimate the factor of safety. Okay, so that we'll discuss in the problem session. Okay, so Now we should know what is static loading, what is dynamic loading. Okay, what are the difference are there in these two topics? So those things discussed clearly in this video. Okay, thank you.